We are now just 28 days away from the official release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, Disney, Lucasfilm, and even creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very much curious about is, of course, the return of Palpatine, to see exactly how JJ is going to utilize this character in comparison to how he was used in the originals and the prequels. And I think that the most exciting part about that is the fact that Ian McDiarmid will be reprising the role of Palpatine once more in this story. Now, I wanted to go over Kathleen Kennedy. Now, I've actually stated several times that I'm really against Kathleen Kennedy and her ways with the Star Wars franchise and how she handles PR and how she handles all the different interviews and stuff around those lines. A lot of fans were always wondering, back in Star Wars Celebration of this year, a lot of fans always wondered back in April on whether or not Kathleen Kennedy was actually covering something up about The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker, everything related to The Last Jedi Backlash. Now, one of the big questions, of course, was Palpatine's return. Was it really something that Kathleen Kennedy had planned years upon years ago, or was it really something that was planned right away in order to make up for the backlash for The Last Jedi? Now, I want to go over proof that Kathleen Kennedy lied to the fans when it came to one of her statements involving, of course, the fact that they had Palpatine in the cards ever since The Force Awakens. And I've actually said this before in the past, that I've always believed that Palpatine's return was just thrown into the script in order to satisfy fans and in order to kind of minimize The Last Jedi backlash. That was my point of view on things, my own opinion. And it seems like it's going in that path. So I want to go over what Colin Trevorrow had to say in a new interview with Empire Online. I want you guys to listen to this, and the interviews will be linked below in the description. So Colin Trevorrow, alright, actually states this when actually being asked about Palpatine and his return. So he states, "I'm not sure anyone who chooses the creative life should expect things, but I'm grateful to J.J. Abrams for embracing some of our ideas. It's exciting that fans will get to see the moments that felt essential to all of us." In case you guys have no idea who Colin Trevorrow is, he is the director that was fired by Kathleen Kennedy. So he goes on to state, "Bringing back the Emperor was an idea J.J. Abrams brought to the table when he came on board for Episode 9, Trevorrow says. It's honestly something I never considered. I commend him for it. This was a tough story to unlock, and he found the key." And that's what Colin Trevorrow had to say. Now, I want to go over a statement by Kathleen Kennedy back in April when Yahoo actually got the chance to speak with Kathleen Kennedy about Palpatine and what's the deal with Sidious. So, Yahoo actually questions Kathleen Kennedy. The big shocker, of course, is the reappearance of Palpatine. What can you tell us about this? How long was this in the cards? Was this sort of part of the blueprint from Episode 9? And Kennedy states, "This had been in the blueprint for a long time. Yeah, we had not landed on exactly how we might do that, but it was always." Yahoo states, "Always to be in Episode 9? Kennedy states, "Yeah." Director and co-writer J.J. Abrams talked about working with Ian on the film. Abrams says, "Working with Ian was amongst the most wonderful experiences I've ever had." Now, Kathleen Kennedy also states that this was in the cards since The Force Awakens. So, in that actual interview, Kathleen Kennedy states that Palpatine was actually a part of Episode 9 since The Force Awakens script was all done and ready. And Colin Trevorrow here is stating, alright, "Bringing back the Emperor was an idea J.J. Abrams brought to the table for Episode 9 when he came on board." And Colin Trevorrow says, right here, "It's honestly something that I never considered." So you could really see that Palpatine basically was shoehorned into The Rise of Skywalker, as a lot of fans, including myself, thought. It seems like it was way too convenient to bring back the Emperor of all people, and to really do such a thing to that magnitude. I want to go over, Kathleen Kennedy. I don't know if you guys know this, but they are making a massive shift in the Star Wars franchise. They are literally remaking the Star Wars franchise, and what I mean by that is they're hitting the restart button on how Disney and Lucasfilm will be handling Star Wars. from this point on forward after the rise of Skywalker. And this all applies to everything related, with the new live-action TV series on Disney+, the new Star Wars trilogy, new Star Wars projects in the works. I mean, everything that's on the table by Disney and Lucasfilm is all going to be handled in a different way. We do know that Kevin Feige is on board to produce a new Star Wars film, and that, of course, Kathleen Kennedy is actually only now looking for experienced directors and writers. Now, Jon Favreau, I don't know if you guys heard about the big news, but Jon Favreau is actually said to have a say in the matter with every single Star Wars project moving forward. And Jon Favreau, he really is a true Star Wars fan at heart. The only thing that I have a problem with Kathleen Kennedy is how she handled this, and what Colin Trevorrow essentially just revealed today on Empire Online. Again, I always felt that the Emperor was just thrown into Episode 9. Not that I hate the Emperor and all, but I think a lot of fans are not really going to appreciate the Emperor being in Episode 9 at this point in time, because you could have just had Snoke, a brand new character. You could have left Palpatine dead. You could have actually had Anakin's sacrifice mean something to its own capacity. And I think that this is only going to make things worse for those who do not like the Emperor coming back to life. So that's just something I wanted to point out. Some people are talking about this. It's a very interesting subject. Kathleen Kennedy, like I say, I mean, she's got to be replaced by somebody else. I mean, I think that we just need a new leader over at Lucasfilm as president to handle this Star Wars franchise. There's something about Kathleen Kennedy that just does not understand Star Wars to its core, and especially to its hardcore fans. Now, I know, I mean, Star Wars caters to a general audience, but the really, the hardcore fans are what buy these tickets multiple times. If you're a hardcore fan and you love a Star Wars movie, you're going to watch it 5 times without question. Or, maybe not 5, but multiple viewings. You know what I'm saying. And we've actually had this with The Force Awakens. For me, at least, I saw it, many times, only because it was the entry of the sequel trilogy and the possibilities were endless, coming after Episode 7, wondering about Luke, the whole mystery of it all. I don't know, it really fascinated me, and it's one of the main reasons as to why I like to see that movie multiple times in the theater, was because of that epic Luke Skywalker ending. And they really did have so much potential of what they could have really done with that. I think that there's more proof as well that J.J. Abrams would have handled Luke better when, just yesterday when he was actually with Rolling Stone answering many questions in different interviews, where he even says that he was very surprised that, Rian Johnson made Luke so dark in The Last Jedi. And I think that right then and there tells us that J.J. Abrams would have handled Luke in a far different way. Sure, he's the man who came up with the idea of making Luke, over in isolation on Ahch-To. I get that. But I think he would have handled it better. Like, maybe he wouldn't be on the island as much. Maybe he would have went with Rey to handle Snoke. Stuff around those lines, I think, would have been switched around by JJ, and, it's funny because I don't think JJ would have killed off Snoke either. JJ even said yesterday, he was laughing at the script when he saw that Snoke died, and he actually, really, admires Rian Johnson's filmmaking, but, I think that he wouldn't have killed Snoke just by that interview alone. I think that this whole entire movie, The Last Jedi, would have been different if JJ was on board. So, yeah, there you have it, guys. I mean, it's a very interesting comparison of interviews. I mean, when you look at what Colin Trevorrow says, again, those 2 interviews will be linked below. How he says that he never considered Palpatine at all. And then, Kathleen Kennedy says that Palpatine was in the cards for a very long time, since The Force Awakens, of all times. That's back in 2014 when they were making that movie. That's a very long time ago. So, that's the thing here, I think that there is some form of covering things up by Lucasfilm and Disney with the backlash of The Last Jedi. The other thing that really does bother me, too, is how Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, constantly always says, how it's a fatigue issue. That's why they actually are in that Star Wars hiatus, is because they recognize Star Wars fatigue. And I don't really sense any Star Wars fatigue. I think it's just that fans are a little fed up with how Disney and Lucasfilm are handling certain aspects of the sequel trilogy moving forward. That's the only thing that they are really fatigued about. Star Wars films, not at all. You know, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story was fantastic. Solo was entertaining. The Force Awakens wasn't all that bad. I mean, if I really had to be honest. So, anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.